Hey everybody, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Brutality again. Like the same as the past few videos I've been putting out, I have another interview for you, and so we'll go ahead and get straight into that. Alright, here you go. Alright, so I'm on the phone with David Wilson. He's one of the Minneapolis musicians that reached out to me about my current interview project, and I'm just going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Well, hi, folks. I'm David Wilson. I live in Rochester, Minnesota now. I grew up in Minnesota, just south of here, about 30 miles. And I'm glad to be a part of Alex's show. And thank you for having me.
Awesome, for sure. So let's kind of start off at the beginning. So describe some of like the pivotal moments for you that kind of really made you realize that music was something you wanted to have in your life and that you wanted to be a part of.
I think uh, when I think back when I was younger, it was about singing with my siblings, and my mom had us sing a lot and learn harmony and melody. And of course, all my siblings sang, but what kind of hooked me actually was when my brother started playing guitar
Sure.
and was bringing home. He had some old guitars around, and then of course a lot of them weren't too playable. But he would come home from college in the Air Force and bring some nice ones. I think that's what hooked me into being an actual musician.
Cool. So you kind of watched him interact with music, and that kind of inspired you to pick it up and kind of follow in those
Oh yes,
footsteps.
yes, and of course a lot of my uh, older siblings had taken piano lessons, and we always had a piano around, and so at an early age, and being one of the younger siblings, that's kind of what you learn,
Very
you
cool.
know, and that was, it's the experience of learning the harmonies and melodies and then actually playing an instrument too.
Sure.
And
So how long after like you kind of picking up the instrument did you like kind of figure out like the tonality and the voice that you wanted to have for your music?
oh, I think I think it was. I think you kind of like right away, you want to like create something.
Hmm.
When when you get to a position where you're recognizing other songs and you have, like some influences, and if you play an instrument, you kind of know what if you want to go that direction, when I'd say in, like junior high school.
Hmm. Sure. Were you in like concert band or choir through junior high or high school?
I was, yes. I was in choir and concert band, jazz band, and I actually played a trombone as well.
Cool. Very nice. So once you kind of had that seed set in you and you knew that you were going to continue to write music and develop into that craft, did you start looking for like other people to make music with, or were you kind of beset upon the path of making music for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, looking for people has always kind of been a part of it because I've always wanted to perform live
Hmm.
music, and you know, and been in high school bands, growing up, try to write some with some of them collaborate, but I think the true writing for me came after high school,
Hmm.
where I could focus, hone it down a little more, um, not so involved with extracurricular sports and
Sure, sure.
concert band. Plus there's a little more maturity there too, right? After
Right,
high
yeah.
school, just kind of starting to hone the songwriting craft.
Sure. So what kind of types of music kind of inspired your craft? Were there any like particular artists where you just like, man, I really love what that person's doing?
Yeah, I think ultimately I would have to say the Beatles on that one. I mean, but there's so many,
Hmm.
so many musicians that I, am influenced by. But if it was any kind of an entity, singular entity, I would say the Beatles
Sure.
because of the variety of stuff they did.
Yeah, they have quite a catalog.
Yeah, yeah,
So, with that as kind of like one of your major influences, and obviously they're a 4/5 piece band. Um, what
yeah,
was your process like, kind of trying to work with other musicians and get them to be involved in like a writing process? Because there's kind of this dichotomy that a lot of musicians want to be in cover bands because that's how to immediately make money being in a band. So it's unique.
yeah,
It's unique to find the people that want to commit themselves to an original project.
yes, yeah. I think really to develop a working relationship in songwriting, it takes it takes a certain amount of trust and learning people and kind of what they're after. But I think really what made me kind of want to break away from the cover scene was the actual creativity,
Mm-hmm.
the being able to express yourself and in a way that isn't from others, you know. Of
Sure.
course musicians do express themselves, and there are a lot of great musicians that play covers,
Of course.
but
Right.
in the end, I think with the singer songwriter was really kind of the way I had to go, because the singer songwriter, the writing's important, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
also find that singer songwriter that may want to collaborate and even, join a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then finding musicians isn't an easy task, as you probably well know.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Musicians are a little fickle, and things have to feel right,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there definitely has to be like a natural chemistry.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
difficult to work with somebody if you don't understand what page they're on, or if there's just kind of natural tension. Like not everybody gets along, and there's nothing wrong with that.
that's right. That's right. It's exactly right. And what you have to do is be able to look beyond the tension and just kind of find that creativity and
Mm-hmm.
that balance.
Definitely.
I think it takes a lot of different experiences to find, and find yourself as we mature too, is
Mm-hmm.
in songwriting, you know.
So we're in the recovery period of the whole virus issue. Prior to the virus, were you
Yeah.
out there playing shows, doing like the bar circuit?
We, the current band I'm in, and I'll give Root River Jam a plug here.
Mm-hmm.
Look us up on Facebook, book, or find www.rootriverjam.com.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're kind of a live performance band, but it's again, um, it was something because I wanted to be the singer songwriter,
Mm-hmm.
but yet I know that I want to present my music with more than one or two pieces.
Sure.
Two.
So how was the process of getting your bandmates together? Did you go through like a couple dozen people, or did it kind of come through really quickly?
Actually, at first it came through pretty quickly. I think well, I mean, I advertise on Craigslist
Mm-hmm. Sure.
of all places.
It's a common place
Um,
to advertise.
yeah, yeah, and our the upright bass player answered, and then actually, I think the drummer had responded before that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple days, but I think it was only on probably a week,
Sure.
and but the drummer couldn't get together right away and needed to schedule a time, and but the bass player, because I advertised for a stand-up bass player,
Mm-hmm.
because we do acoustic music.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so he answers. He's like, I'll come over. And then when he came over, he's like, I almost didn't answer the ad because I I play upright bass, not stand up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I'm glad you kid. But I mean, he plays he plays with the bow too, and
Okay, cool.
arco they call that. And I'll tell you what, when that hit some of my stuff, it was just mesh at first sight. You
Sure,
know,
yeah, that sounds like it
it
would be a
was
really good
unbelievable.
combo for acoustic music.
Yeah, and then someone I knew a fiddle player, and our drummer, who actually isn't with the group anymore, or the fiddle player, but our upright bass player is a founding member. And it really was only a year later the current drummer started with us, which all my musicians play with other groups too. So there's this fine line of
Hmm.
kind of balance too.
Yeah,
But as far as like actual creativity and like letting loose the reins and just knowing they're there
sure.
and that they get it, I've never felt like that before. You know, in a real situation where, and what I call us is we're kind of like a singer songwriter band.
Hmm.
You know, because we don't do like bar gigs, we're doing patios and stuff.
Hmm.
Not late in the evening usually.
Okay.
I mean, it's usually, but we'll go do shows, and like get in a lineup later
Hmm.
too.
Sure.
But most of our stuff around here is patios and mid, especially this year, it's kind of like all patio, and it's midday and early evening.
Sure. So how have you guys dealt with like the writing process? And how are you guys getting into the studio to record? Have you recorded?
We actually have recorded about 90% of an album. We've
Awesome.
we've been trying to get ready to release for a year, but some of the stuff, it turns out, has to be re-recorded
Okay.
and then of course remixed. Excuse me. And now even in that time, there's a couple new ones that I really would like at least to see one of them make it on it. So
Are you are you doing
we've been in the
independent
studio,
recording,
yeah.
or are you purchasing studio time?
We do independent, our
Okay.
own.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
really lucky that way too. The upright bass player Blake he's a techie, and you know, he's he's really into that, and he does some of that on the side because he's a producer. And
awesome. Yeah, as long as you're doing independent and not on the clock for it, you might as well put out what you can.
yeah, exactly. And there again, trying to release a full length, or a lot of people are just doing one and two on Spotify.
Hmm. Yeah,
What
definitely.
do you do there? I'm still leaning towards a full release, but now I know I'm realistically looking at next year
Well,
because of this.
and as we kind of progress and the music industry changes, it seems like a blend seems like a really good way to go. And that's one of the things that I kind of have
Yeah.
been promoting on my channel is on Reddit. There's a subreddit called Bedroom Bands, which is all about like musicians collaborating over the internet. So
Oh, cool.
there's like hundreds of songs that this whole Bedroom Bands community has been putting out, and during the course of quarantine, they put out like 3 or 4 albums, like because
Oh my gosh.
there's like 38,000 people that are all
Oh, you're
participating in this
kidding.
project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, so I definitely recommend, like, if you just want to like get stuff out there, get your name on things, like check out the Bedroom Band subreddit, because there's
Okay.
there's people there that are looking for like all types of stuff, guitars, drums, vocals of all sorts. Like it's
Okay.
yeah, just browse through it.
Oh,
Um
just like independent musicians kind of like doing work for others and
yeah,
sharing
and
and stuff, sharing work or whatever.
exactly. So, like in the couple projects that I've participated, basically I've like, just laid out a drum track and then sent it to the guy, and then he makes the rest of the song, and then it gets published on like SoundCloud.
Awesome.
And so yeah, it's a really
That's
cool
great.
like ongoing project. Um
So really, I think, your point is make sure that you are streaming and you're letting like singles and
Yeah.
get it out there on the street, on the platforms,
Yes,
the
absolutely.
multi-platform, really
Yep.
multi-platform now.
It's all about just having your name like constantly in circuit, because
Yeah,
spending time waiting between, releases, an audience can drop off. So
yeah, yeah, and and that was one of the big things about playing, because we play quite a bit during the summer, and
mhm.
so and of course what the live energy is, and
Mhm.
you know and so that is that's been a lot of our medium is to play live and be there for, of course, if we do the one set shows, of course we're doing our best in original music. if
Yep.
if we're doing in 2 and 3 sets, we may throw a cover in there too.
Sure. Since we're on the topic of live music, what are some of like the most standout moments that have happened to you while you've been playing music or participating music, whether it be doing a live set or like in the studio? What is something that has really kind of been prominent to you?
Well, and just, and we do have done live albums, and both albums. The next one's going to be a live album, but I think as far as like a live show situation, I, I would say and this is kind of like, because this band's always done originals, and we'll mix them up if we do a longer show, but on when we were playing down in a place called Lanesboro, um,
Mm-hmm.
this was a weird thing. Macaulay Culkin, his
What?
brother, and I forget his brother's name offhand now.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Kieran McCulkin?
I'm not sure.
Kieran McCulkin. Kieran McCulkin was there. He's an actor as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it, but our drummer goes, "Isn't that Kieran McCulkin?" And I go, "No way. Yeah, Macaulay Culkin's brother." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, go ask him." And they were standing there, and they were pretty decked out with he had his woman with him,
Sure.
and I'm like, "Hey, is it true that yeah, we just pulled into Lanesboro about an hour ago and unloaded our stuff where we're staying, and we came down here."
Nice.
I go, "Really? Where'd you come from?" He goes, "We just drove up. We just got married at the Little Brown Church in Iowa."
Oh, that's
I
cool.
go, "You're kidding?" He goes, "Yeah." And we immediately left and came up here, and we're going to stay the weekend in Lanesboro, Minnesota, which is about a town of like 1,000 people, or 2,000 now.
I suppose I
And I
could
go,
respect that.
"Really? You guys just got married?" "Yeah." I go, "So inadvertently, we're like your wedding band."
Nice.
How about a tip? No, but no. So that was kind of funny. I would say that's kind of at least with this group,
Yeah, that's
was
cool.
one of the memorable ones.
Very cool. Any others you want to put out there?
Uh, just the regular odd stuff of the musician life. I'm sure everybody has a story or two.
Sure.
So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, I want to give you the chance to kind of plug your stuff, your Facebook, like your website if you have one, like whatever you got.
Yeah. Yeah, we just released a single. We have a video out on our website. It's called River of Peace. Um, we are Root River Jam, and we have a presence on Facebook. We're local here in Rochester, Minnesota. We've been trying to stream a little bit, and actually thinking about releasing some content to work up to our CD release. So River of Peace was kind of our start with that. And
What's the
you can
band
go
name
out,
again?
just Google us. We'll be right on the front page. Root River Jam.
Awesome.
Root River Jam.
Very cool.
Yep.
And so I like to give the person I'm interviewing the last word. So just a message that you think resonates with you.
Well, I think in this current situation that everybody's in here in the United States, we have to learn to just not let things divide us. I mean, the divisions are really what's kind of like tearing this country apart. So, I mean, even if you don't agree with there's someone there's you have something in common, and I've been trying to reflect that more in my music as well. So, I would just say unity, peeps. You know, find that thing you have in common and try to love one another, basically.